Hi, Assalamualaikum. My name is Izatul, Aina, Afiqah, binti Rohazid. Today, I would like to present about my final year project proposal. The title of this project is Biofluid Characterization using paint on this experiment. I handled this project with guidance of my supervisor, Muhammad Mazwan bin Mahan. I am presenting to my presentation to two panels, which are Karul Imran bin Sainan and IRTS Dr. Muhammad Ali bin Ahmad. In this presentation slide, there are 6 parts of it, which are introduction, problem statement, objective with scope and limitation. Next, literature review, where I will talk about the junior summary from previous study. In the fourth list, research and methodology, expected result, and last but not least, conclusion and references. Firstly, in introduction part, we will talk about biofluid. What is biofluid that known as synovial fluid? Synovial fluid found as a thick egg-like consistency and stringy fluid in cavities of synovial fluid. Synovial fluid function as effective lubrication mechanism for any normal joint in the human body, such as hip, shoulder, and knee. But in this study, we will focus on knee. Synovial fluid also reduces the friction between the cartilage and other tissue in joint to lubricate and support them during movement. Furthermore, synovial fluid contains relatively high content of hyaluronic acid. Normally, a joint work is carried out in a synovial fluid environment, which is a natural lubricant with a high viscosity similar to mineral oil and a large number of biological components such as protein, lipid, and polysaccharide that create lubricating film. When a fluid film thins, the cartilage and the femur surfaces and tibia surfaces come into alignment to support the strain. The lubricating mechanism in this circumstance function under boundary condition. A fluid has the greatest impact in producing low friction in a boundary lubricating state. Despite the fact that two surfaces come into contact due to load, there is still some fluid film thickness. The film thickness is dependent on the fluid quality. Comes to synovial fluid, along with cartilage, play a significant function in protecting the bones. Synthetic synovial fluid in a state that mimic genuine synovial fluid is required for a meaningful and reliable outcome. The originating motion and load inside the joint during various movements are well recognized, and the motion and load cycles for walking are standardized by ISO standards for the modeling of hip and knee joint. In order to determine the condition of patient with joint effusion, synovial fluid can be tested for a number of behaviors. Synovial fluid analysis was shown to be particularly beneficial in patients suffering gout, pseudo-gout, or infectious arthritis. This is due to the lack of synovial fluid in the joint, which can cause a variety of disorders. As you can see, the picture on the top right corner is the picture of the synthetic synovial fluid on the knee. There are 3,358 papers and journals retrieved from a simple search using the phrase synthetic synovial fluid. From 2011 to 2021, figure in the slide represent the current trend in the study of artificial synovial fluid in tribology. The largest number of publications was found in 2021, featuring 467 articles available, while the lowest number was found in 2011 with only 236 articles available. This study was on the increased trend and ongoing until now. From the previous study, the synthetic synovial fluid study have not used the economic-friendly materials such as plant-based oil. The analysis review shown that they are less focused on the low-priced materials and readily available, which is easy to get from. The plant-based oil used must be suitable and safe for human body condition. From previous study, there is still lack of study and data explaining the type of plant-based oil that is suitable for replacement of synovial fluid in human body. The objective of this study is to determine the friction coefficient and the wear rates of PLADs used toward 3 different samples, which are canola oil with 0.3 hyaluronic acid as additive, canola oil with 0.5 hyaluronic acid, and canola oil with 0.8 hyaluronic acid. This objective can be fulfilled by having a reliable result of at least 0.03 for the friction coefficient after dipping on these experiment ran. Next, the second objective is to study the morphological characteristic on the metal pin and the PLA disc under Olympus metallurgical microscope. This study was run under the scope and limitation of this project. The first one is the canola oil used are only with density of 0.914 to 0.917 gram per centimeter cube. Next, the experiment have 3 samples of base oil with different concentration of hyaluronic acid as the additive, which are canola oil without any additive and canola oil with 0.5% hyaluronic acid and canola oil with 1% hyaluronic acid as the additive. Lastly, the variable involved, which are constant speed of 360 RPM and a different load applied of 55, 65 and 75 kg, which are due to the average body mass obtained by world region in 2005, where the lowest average body mass of Asian, which is 57.5 kg, while the North American has the highest average body mass of 80.7 kg. Due to the data, the experiment we run by taking the mid value of the data obtained to make the experiment easier. Thank you. Below are the few main previous studies that are focused on. The panel can fully see the complete general summary on the proposal report. In this table, the panel can clearly see the summary of the journal or research paper. Plus, I also state the gap analysis between the previous study and my study. Note, most of the journal used have exactly the same objective as mine. They also have the same experiment, which is pin on disc but with different oil-based sample. Some of it are only ran study by using journal analysis method. As the screen appeared here, this is one of the examples in my journal analysis which I have used in literature review section. As I refer to a journal title of a new approach using palm oil, palm kernel oil and palm fatty acid distillate as alternative biolubricant improving tribology in metal-on-metal contact by Raza and other author. The method used are pin on this experiment. The type of biofluid used are also plant-based oil but with palm-based oil. However, this previous study lack of information about the interactive nature of chemical reaction with metal surfaces. The complexity involved are on the unsaturated hydrocarbon and nanostructure of the metal. To compare with my study, the contact involved are metal on metal, while my study involved metal contact with PLA biomaterial. In the methodology part, it starts with the article and journal review to gain more understanding related to the study. Then, here it goes for the pre-experiment segment, where the preparation of the material needs for the experiment. The materials that we need to prepare are PLA discs with 74 in diameter and 4 mm thickness. The disc will be prepared using 3D printing method. After that, the visible printed line produced by the 3D printer need to be smoothened by using fume hood chamber. Next, the experiment also need a metal pin to be prepared. The pin will be cut using abrasive cutter and need to undergo the grinding process to have a smooth mirror-like surface. Lastly, the important things in the experiment is the sample preparation. The fluid will be prepared carefully in the lab by using the canola oil with different concentration of hyaluronic acid. Next, the experiment part, where tribological tests will be run using pin on this experiment with the variables of constant speed, which is 360 RPM, and different load applied, which are 55, 65 and 75 kg. After the experiment finish, we will get the reliable result as stated in the flowchart to further on data validation analysis. As stated in the flowchart, this methodology can achieve research objective 1 and research objective 2 as follows. On the screen, you can see the picture of PLA preparation using 3D printer and the picture of some smooth surface PLA disc. At the top right corner is the picture of canola oil in the lab. On the left hand side below are the picture of pin on this tribometer to run the experiment for this study. The expected result of this study are to determine the most suitable lubricant among the 3 samples. The most applicable synthetic synovial fluid should fulfill more or less the same characteristic as the synovial fluid. In mechanical aspect, the coefficient of friction must be as low as 0.03 and the wear rate must be the smallest as it can be based on the load applied. Figure above shown the trend of friction coefficient with respect to contact pressure. In this case, assuming that the contact pressure mentioned related to the mass varies in this study. In conclusion, the canola oil-based lubricant with different concentration of hyaluronic acid can be one of the attempts to generate a new result based on the load applied. Using a tribology test of pin on this experiment helped this study to analyze the work of the sample based on the different parameters set up. This is the reference used for the final year project proposal. This is the Gantt chart of the flow of this study. That's all for presentation. If you have any question, please contact the details below. Thank you.